Thanks for joining me today. A lot of times when I have a client in my holistic medical practice, they'll say to me, I'm about to go on a trip, so I'm going to have to put off working with you and making healthy changes until I get back. Or if I'm already working with them, they'll say, well, I'm about to go on a trip, so I'm going to have to put off these changes till I get back, or I'm going to fall off the wagon because I'm going on a trip. And I wanted to take this opportunity today and talk about how we can rethink travel, and you can rethink a trip as a way to actually deepen into your healthy practices as opposed to having to put it in the back burner. So today I want to give you some tips for being super healthy while you're traveling and you're in a new city. Here are my tips for healthy living while traveling in a new city. The first tip I would give you is to have a really well-packed sack. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. I'll show you something right now. I'm in New York City, and I have this little shoulder bag. It's not very big, and my sweetheart has one that's about the same size, just a shoulder bag. And in it, we have a couple of things. Nothing too heavy. We have utensils, a spoon, a knife. You can even have a spork if you want. A spork is great, so it's a spoon and a fork and a knife. And then we have a blanket that we can have, basically a small blanket we can just roll out and use at parks. These are the most important things to have in the sack. I also have in it a bottle of water if I want to just keep hydrated during the day. I think this is super helpful, and I would recommend having a phone that you can access Wi-Fi, so a smartphone or a map, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So having a well-packed sack while you're traveling and on the move in a city is really helpful. The second thing I'm going to recommend is researching and going to the farmers markets in the city in which you're traveling. Most cities have open-aired, fresh green markets you can find. And what we usually do is that we'll go for breakfast to the farmers market, see what's fresh, what's in season, talk to the farmers about what they recommend, and get something delicious, nutritious, and then go to the park and have a wonderful picnic breakfast. Or you can take it on the move if you're pretty busy. But the farmers market is an amazing way to eat healthy while you're traveling. And it's also an amazing way of exploring the city, because a lot of times the local people of that town are the ones who are shopping at the farmers markets. So you get a real sense of the flavor of a place by checking these places out. The third thing I would recommend is using that phone that I recommended to pack in your bag. And I have a smartphone, as most of us do. And if you don't have one, then having a map of the town is really helpful, so you can be able to find places in your city, in the city in which you're traveling, that have healthy food. There are two apps that we use a lot while traveling to find healthy restaurants and stores. The first one is happycow.net. I've been using this and recommending it for years. So Happy Cow, you can actually input in your phone. It will see where you are. It will locate you, GPS you, and then tell you places around you that are plant-based, that are healthy, that are going to support you in eating and feeling your best. The second app we use is TripAdvisor. So you may be in a town where maybe there are not many plant-based restaurants. TripAdvisor is really great because you can filter it through many forms. You can say what kind of food, what cuisine you like, but you can also put in filters like vegetarian or vegan or just healthy, and this helps you to find great restaurants around you. So those two apps I really recommend, and we use it very, very often. Third thing I strongly recommend, and it was I talked about it a little bit earlier, and that is finding beautiful resting spots in a city. A city, and this city is probably the epitome of that, can be full of really strong and intense energy. And it's really important when you're away from home and you're traveling to find places that are restful for you. For me personally, that's almost always time of nature. And so finding the parks in the town in which you're traveling, finding a body of water that is calming, or finding both is wonderful. And taking time during the day to go to these places, take a moment, drop into your breath, drop into the sounds around you, can be extremely centering and grounding when you're in a place that, again, is not home. I also want to talk about one tip that I think is helpful for when you finish the end of the day and you've been looking around and traveling around and you come back home. And by home, I mean wherever your temporary home is, whether that's a hotel room or an apartment or a friend's couch. And I recommend that you try to make your temporary space as much as possible tranquil and calming. And that might be just bringing in a small candle with a lavender scent. It might mean decluttering the space a little bit. It might mean shifting the furniture a little bit to move the energy. Whatever that is for you, have the space in which you're living for as long or as little as you are away from home be something that is calming for you. Another tip I have is movement. I think movement is vital. It's important in your daily life, and it shouldn't stop because you're traveling. Um, I would recommend, if your city feels safe, to walk everywhere and anywhere and really check out the place through walking. You can also do it through biking. You can do it through roller skating or rollerblading. But get creative and move and see the city through movement. It's also an amazing time, travel, to explore new creative movement. So maybe you're stuck a little bit in an exercise rut back home and you're doing the same thing, the same routine. When you are traveling, you have the opportunity to see a new park. You have the opportunity to be around people who you're not usually around. So here's a great example about movement and how travel can actually take your movement to the next level. I went to Prospect Park here in New York, in Brooklyn, a few days ago, and I went for a run and I was loving it. And then I saw in front of me somebody really keeping a very, very brisk pace, a pace that was faster than me and that I'm used to. And it was wonderful to really be inspired by that person to take up my pace more. And I was able to see that I was able to go faster than I realized. So this took my exercise capacity to a higher level. And travel gives us the opportunity, when we're around different people, we're challenged and inspired in new ways. Maybe you're in a city like this one where there are incredible classes and exercise or movement that you would never think about, aerial yoga or uh, pole classes, pole dancing classes. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit and check these things out. And travel can give you this opportunity. I want to talk about one tip that I think is so important, and it's one that I learned the hard way because it's very easy to not do this. And that is to carve out space every single day when you're traveling for breath and time to wander and time to get lost, so to speak. When we travel, we can end up having a busier schedule than we do when we're home. And we want to see everything, we want to see everyone if it's a place that is familiar to us that we're visiting. And I would just invite you to really carve out time during the day where nothing is planned and nothing is scheduled. Doing this can be an amazing opportunity to really be present and hone your intuition. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you can wander and feel into places you should go explore that are not on your list. I would recommend that every day that you're away from home, every day that you're traveling, that you just have these moments, hours if possible, of unplanned activity. The last tip I'm going to give you is to sleep. And I mean that as much as I'm smiling with all sincerity, to sleep. Again, when we're traveling, there's the excitement of seeing somewhere new. and wanting to do everything. And a lot of times our sleep suffers, and sleep is one of the most important things for our health. It's without it, it's hard to really enjoy and really take in all the beautiful experiences that you are having. So really prioritize sleep. If it's hard for you to do that at nighttime, have small naps during the day if you can, but rest and sleep. And this should make your travel experience both enjoyable as well as healthy. So when you return home, you are feeling better than when you left. I have a video about how to prevent jet lag naturally, so definitely check it out. I will leave a link in the description down below. So I hope that you try at least one, maybe all of these tips the next time that you go on a trip. And recognize, I just want to say it again, recognize that going on a trip can be really a way to deepen and hone your amazing health practices as opposed to falling away from them. Happy travels and much love.